In this particular video, I've got a 12K run today, and I thought I would share with you my fueling strategy, which I've always done and it works very well. Apart from that one day I was late, I needed to make changes. So in this one, how to fuel for a long run. Before I start this video, let me start with a warning. This is me trying to address stomach issues while running. A runner's tummy.
Okay, wait. Before we go on, at the end of this video, I'm going to share with you my embarrassing runner's tummy story. It's embarrassing. Well, it used to be. So stick around.
You see, if you're new to running, you will quickly experience a day when your stomach decides it wants to do its own thing, making you either cut your run short or make an emergency stop, which I had to do at Oxford Half. It's then made me think, how many people are in my shoes that might not really know how to fuel for a long run or a running event? The basic premise here is, don't do anything new when you're doing a long run. First things first, your breakfast. Porridge. Please keep it simple. Some people like to just have a bagel, a piece of toast with peanut butter and banana. Me personally, a porridge. Now, I know you can do a fancy breakfast, but you want to keep it simple and give your stomach something that it can deal with as it's being shaken about for however many hours or kilometers, miles you're going to be doing. For me personally, oats, just plain oats, nothing fancy. Into it, I add a protein powder, and it doesn't have to be anything special. I like the vegan one and it's literally vanilla. That's the flavor. I like the flavor it adds, but the protein is needed. Then you get milk in. I use semi-skimmed milk. It's what I'm used to, like I'm saying. I don't vary anything. Stick that bad boy in the microwave. I give it about 2 minutes in the microwave and it comes out perfectly every time. Straight after my porridge, I make my coffee in my son's Groot cup, because we like Groot. So, in fact, I'm gonna make this coffee with all of my Groot Funko Pops all around it, because I like it. I have a coffee. I have an instant coffee, nothing fancy. Again, I use Coffee Mate into it. I put sugar, 1 teaspoon of sugar, and I have it. Hooray! The coffee is gonna work its magic. So I'm gonna give it about half an hour to an hour to do its magic. You therefore want a time when you have your breakfast, your porridge, your coffee, to when your actual run is. Give your stomach time to digest and therefore provide the food you've just eaten as energy, carbohydrates ready to be called on. That takes time, that digestion bit. But essentially, you've had your porridge, you've had your coffee. You then want to let the coffee work its magic and make sure you hit the toilet. I'm going to be very blunt here. If you don't like talking about these kind of things, this is probably the time you want to drop off this video. You want to make sure you hit the toilet at the house. Whatever you want to call it. And number 2, make sure it happens at the house, especially if you're doing a long run. You don't want to be running into different pubs or knocking on people's doors, that kind of thing. I tell you what, at the end, I'm going to tell you one of my stories, something that happened to me that's quite embarrassing. Well, it used to be, it's not anymore. As a runner, you learn to embrace these things. But let me tell you, so make sure you hit the number 2 at the house. If you can, also make sure you find portaloos, portable toilets at your event. Go in there as well. It gives you the peace of mind as you're running and you've got nothing like that to worry about. Okay, now let's talk about gels. You see, when you're on your long run or your race day, depending on how long your run is, you're going to have to refuel during your run. It's therefore not feasible to carry some spare porridge with you. Stupid, because your stomach's not going to be able to digest all of that, as well as the inconvenience of having to do so. I know it sounds stupid. And this is where gels come in. Now, you get gels that are simple and basic. So, like this one. This is one I have. That is a gel from My Protein. It is simply just a provision of carbs. And should I then feel like it, maybe anything between half an hour to 40 minutes to 50 minutes, depending on how you are, I will have another one with no issues at all. Okay, so one area we haven't touched on is hydration. Now, I'm not just talking about water here. You're probably used to that, so I'm not going to cover water. What I will cover though is when to have your water. Hydration for your run will start 2 days before. You want to make sure, again, I might be too detailed here, might be too much information for some people, but a good gauge is when you go to the toilet and have a wee, what color is your wee? If it's starting to look a bit too dark, you know you're dehydrated, you need to top that up. You want to start 2 days before with a steady stream of hydration to try to bring your wee, I'm not talking like transparent, but as clear as we can get it. Now, avoid though overdoing it on the day, because the more you drink, the more you're then gonna have to stop and sort that out. What's more important though, and this is what I'm currently having, this electrolytes. But what happens when you run or in a normal course of the day? When you sweat, you actually lose important minerals within your body. So having water doesn't replenish or replace that, which is where you need to then supplement with something like this, an equivalent of, it doesn't have to be this one. There are plenty out there, electrolytes, and get them in. So for me, I actually have some before the run. So I've just had my coffee. I'm gonna have one of these. It might be overkill, but I make sure I then have something else after. That is my hydration.
Okay, we've left the house. I'm on the long run, and I thought I would share with you a few lessons, 4 that I have learned in terms of nutrition. Number 1, disregard everything I've just said earlier. You need to learn this for you. You need to find what works for you, because I could advise you and tell you what works for me. Use that as a basis, foundation. But the purpose of a training program is that you actually train your nutrition and your fueling. So find what works for you. Okay, number 2, fuel for the distance you're doing. I learned very quickly at my Oxford half marathon that I can't fuel for the half marathon the way I'm used to for the 10K, for the 5K. So understand how much time it's going to take you to complete your run and fuel for that duration. So it might be a benchmark that you maybe needing a gel every half an hour. That might work for you. That might be too soon for other people. So fuel for the distance you're about to do. Number 3, sorry, I was just going over a hill and there was no way I was going to talk to you while trying to tackle that hill. Number 3, caffeine. Caffeine can be a plus, it can also be a minus. The plus is the energy. It gives you a kick. So when I say caffeine, I'm talking 2 things. 1, your coffee, which you will have had in the morning, but also look out on the energy gels we talked about. Some of them are caffeine infused. So you need to look at it like that. Secondly, the downside of caffeine. 1 second. Hi, country roads. So the downside of caffeine is it can be a laxative. What does that mean? It helps you get things going in the morning. You can then do your number 2 at home or at the Portaloos. However, that effect can carry on your run. It can carry on, especially if you then use caffeine infused gels in your run. So be mindful of that. And I want to stress the importance of training with your fueling strategy in mind. Okay, number 4, adjustments. Give yourself the freedom to adjust should you need to. I'll give you an example. Actually, let me tell you exactly what I said after mile 8 in Oxford Half.
Approaching mile 8, my stomach just turned. It went into a twist and I just panicked because I had never experienced anything like this before, and I had to make a pit stop in one of the loos. I didn't want to talk too much about this kind of stuff on this race vlog, but it's honest and it's real. The nutrition plan didn't go how I normally take it, and so I needed to make a stop. It was very uncomfortable, and if I'm honest, that feeling never left me for the duration of the run. In fact, it picked up again with 2 miles to go, and I was straining. I really was. It wasn't a good feeling. I had a very strong stomach ache and I was feeling like it's a stomach cramp. My nutrition just wasn't in line.
You see, sometimes things might go wrong. Give yourself the patience, the space to make adjustments, to forget that PB attempt, to forget the time you're going for, and see to it that you are more comfortable going forward. If you need to stop somewhere, do so. It's important. Okay, thank you very much for checking out this video. If you found it useful, consider subscribing to my channel. It'll be good to have you. And I'm gonna put over here my video, my take on why people hate running. Check it out. You might connect with some of the points and I give solutions too. Thank you.